walking out on us. Oh, or am I losing touch? Too many games, now all our chips are lost. Oh, luck was not enough. I opened my eyes. Tonight I feel like waking to life. Tonight I feel like waking up. Tonight I feel like waking now here we stand and hover on the edge. Oh, we're just a drop in time. I feel like gave you every breath I had. Even forgave your crimes. I opened my eyes.
And hello! Welcome to the show. It is February 28th, 2021. It is the end of February. Hi, Zach. How's it going? Oh, maybe.
Huh?
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I lost you there for a second. No. I said, how's it going? Are we having issues already?
I said it's all right for the third time.
I can hear you now. I don't know if your push to talk is broken or what's going on. So, anything new with you? Okay, I'm not quite sure what's up with your audio. I can
Not
see
now. There is not.
I can see you like punching in, but like I don't hear anything. I heard you the second time there though. Anyway, I'm not quite sure what's up with that. Interesting. Well, I've got news.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, so man, I tell you, ordering things from China is interesting.
Yeah, can be.
Yep. Actually, okay, so remember how a couple weeks ago I was talking about I was going to build a virtualization server, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's up. It's running. It's done.
You sent me something about it.
I did. Yes, and we're going to talk about it. Yes, Nebula is up. That is what I've named the virtualization server. It's pretty cool. This might turn out to be something slightly dangerous for me, as I can just spin up VMs whenever I want now. So you know, that's a thing. But oh goodness gracious, I forgot. Let's see, 172.8006. That's the port number. Let's see. I don't think I haven't visited the web panel on this other browser yet here. So and I totally forgot to load the document up for today too. So hold on, let me grab that real quick here. The RAM show, and we'll grab that guy. So there's that. And I think I just typed the password in wrong too. I certainly did. So, anyway, yeah, let me pull this up real quick here. I don't know how well you can see this, Zach. But there's my Proxmox dashboard.
I actually am familiar with it.
You've used Proxmox before?
Yes.
Where?
Well, at an old job.
Really?
Before this one. Before the one I have now, yeah, they used it.
Oh.
And I got to poke around in it a little bit.
Really? Okay. Have you ever used ESXi? No. Okay. So
I used Proxmox because it's cheap. And they're cheap.
I wanted to use ESXi because it is like the industry standard, right?
Yes.
And
I mean, there's several, but sure, whatever.
Well, probably ESXi.
It's a big name. It's a big name.
Yeah, probably ESXi from VMware is probably the most well known. Proxmox does offer like a support package. What else are you thinking?
The whole thing is free though. Like you can use it for free.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Which is really cool.
They won't help you with it unless you pay.
Right. Yeah. You know what though? Okay. Here's the thing though about open source software though is there's usually really good community support.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So that's one of the benefits to it. But anyway, yeah. So this is running on Nebula. It's a what did we say? An Intel Xeon E5 2648L. It's only 1.8 gigahertz, so it's not the fastest processor in the world. on a single socket, so just one of them, but it's 8 cores, 16 threads, which is pretty awesome for about $20 or so. 32 gigs of DDR3 ECC memory. I did go with a lower speed. Interesting story about that. So I placed my order. I placed all this stuff, right? Single day. And placed a bunch of it from eBay. I didn't realize that the memory was I knew the motherboard was coming from China. I didn't realize the memory that I had purchased was going to be also coming from China. And after about a week or 2 weeks or so, I can't remember, it was a decent amount of time, it still hadn't shown that the memory had shipped yet. So I got a hold of eBay and I'm like, my seller still hasn't given me any notification that they've shipped my stuff out yet. They took my money, but I don't see that they've shipped the product out yet. So eBay opened the case, and like the next day I heard back from the seller, and they're like, so we have some like summer festival thing, and we haven't been shipping stuff out, and like, I was like, okay, well, I purchased memory from another place, another seller on eBay. It was a slower speed, but it was cheaper. And I basically just said, just cancel my order. And they did. So they gave me my money back, which is pretty cool. The motherboard took about maybe 2 weeks to show up. It wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty quick. And so anyway, so everything came in on a weekend, right? On Saturday morning. And I was super excited. I had the motherboard, and I think I'd gotten the memory too, same day or something like that. Yeah, that's what it was. And those were the 2 final components that I needed to put the system together. So go downstairs, open up the case, and start building and everything, right? And it just so happens that, I had the entire weekend off. And I was like, this is great. Everything's here. I'll build the system. I'll have the whole weekend to play with this, get it set up. I got the wrong core.
But something happened.
I got the wrong core.
Ooh.
So the core had a variant. There was there were 2 variants of it. There was one that was like exactly the same, but it had like a P or an S on the end of it. And then the other one didn't. And I got the wrong variant. So I'm like, I got the CPU in there and I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, all right, time to put the cooler on. And I'm like, the frick? Why isn't this mounting? Like, the holes aren't lining up. So I went back and I looked at it, and I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So I was like, this is exactly how this would go. I have the whole weekend to work on this. I've got everything I presumably need, and no. I couldn't get it up and running. So I was like, So I hop on eBay, I order another cooler, the right one. And luckily, it only took a couple days to get in because it was shipping from Minnesota. So, which worked out really well.
So it wasn't like what kind of a device or like a motherboard socket did you use?
It's LGA 2011. But are you talking like
2011,
core?
So yeah, but usually the cooler is dependent on the kind of socket, right? I mean, yeah.
Yes, but apparently there's like a longer one, and then there's like a rectangular style, and then there's a square style. So I got the rectangular. I needed the square. I don't know. It was goofy. But anyway. So yeah. So that
I was going to say that surely there's something you could go and buy in person, right?
Well, the problem is it's a 1U server.
Oh, it's a server. Oh, okay.
And we don't have a Best Buy anymore because I don't understand what their thought process was. So apparently, I don't know all the details, but apparently this is what happened, was that the local Best Buy was renting the space that they were in, right? Their retail space. And apparently the leasing agreement was coming up for renewal, and the owner of that particular space wanted more money than what I guess Best Buy was willing to pay for the space. And so they couldn't come to an agreement and the store closed. Here's the thing. I don't know if you've noticed, but large retail space isn't really all that desirable these days. So it's just sitting empty. So like,
congratulations. Now you have no
Right.
months.
Why was that a good idea? Because now you have a building that you still have to do maintenance on, a large building nonetheless, right? Without a tenant. And it's not like people are dying to move in. Especially right now. This is like before the whole COVID-19 pandemic
a
hit.
pandemic? Time to start a retail store.
Right, exactly. Yeah. A brick and mortar retail store, you
Got
know?
a really good idea.
So yeah, I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but apparently they did. So, that's a thing that happened, but anyway, so no, I really couldn't, and I'm in a smaller area. I can't just go out to a Micro Center and purchase
you don't have
something,
a Micro
unfortunately.
Center.
So
Feel bad for you, honestly.
I know.
It's pretty awesome.
I have some perks here in this area, like, fiber to the home, but I honestly would... Actually, I don't know. That's an interesting question. Would I give up my fiber to the home to have something like a Micro Center?
No! You would be stupid!
Uh-huh.
Because, Amazon, hello, new
Yeah,
egg,
I know.
and all that.
So anyway, but yeah, the system's up, it's running, and so the first thing I did, I had ESXi already ready to go on a USB drive, right? Plugged it in, and it wouldn't boot. And I was like,
Okay.
what is going on? And so I read some stuff online. It was like, oh yeah, apparently there's a bug with this one that doesn't allow it to boot with UEFI mode on, so turn on Legacy, and then go update ESXi, and then go turn on UEFI mode again. It's like, okay?
That's annoying.
Cool, but whatever. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll set the BIOS to Legacy mode, and we'll just leave it. Right? Whatever. Right? So anyway, I do that, and it ends up it gets into the installer. It starts loading, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then it gets to the step where it apparently checks the network card in the system. Now, I bought a Chinese motherboard.
what?
I don't know. I bought a Chinese motherboard, which must have a NIC that is possibly made by Realtek or something like that. And apparently there are certain NICs that ESXi just...
Oh, yeah, that's really annoying.
And apparently mine is one of those in the system. So yeah, ESXi would just get stuck there, and it was like, yeah, So it's like, oh,
Amazing,
you've
huh?
got to be kidding me. I am not. And there's ways that you can go in and add the driver support and then reconfigure the installation files. And I'm like, okay, maybe, but they don't recommend it in a production environment. And I actually am using this system for some production stuff in the house.
It probably...
I probably would have been
I'd do it.
fine.
Why not? I'd do it.
I probably would have been fine.
It's not something that's going to break. That doesn't sound like something that's going to break after the fact. It's going to be either it works or it doesn't. And if it works, then great, it'll stay working. And if it doesn't, then
I don't know about
sucks.
updates down the line, though. That's the other problem.
Yeah, but who cares about updating it, right?
Well, so anyway, I finally just said, screw it. I said, screw it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't know, anything. I feel like that was just going to be a giant pain in the rear end. So I finally just said, screw it. I will go Proxmox. Now, initially, I was a little turned off by Proxmox because they tell you not to install it on a USB drive like you can with ESXi. Because
Yeah,
apparently,
but you can just
well,
get a
apparently,
little partition to do it on.
yeah, I suppose I could have done that. Anyway, so supposedly it reads and writes a decent amount to the disk. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, so I went over to Mason, went to Staples of all places, right? And I was like, fine. Well, it's what I have, right?
I know. No, honestly, I forgot that store even exists.
Oh, hold on, because you're laughing now. I'll be laughing in a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay? So
What do they have there?
I walk in and I just pick up a 2.5 inch, SATA SSD, right? 120
Okay.
gig. 120 gig. So, well, actually, so I'm looking around, I'm looking at the shelf, and I'm like, man, it said they had them online. Maybe I picked the wrong store. And about this time, one of the one of the people there was like, hey, can I help you with something? I was like, yeah, I'm looking for this SSD, 120 gig. You got any? And he's like, yeah, hold on, let me go check. So he goes to their little lockup room and comes back with 4 of them. And I'm like, and he's like, you want all 4 of them? I'm like, no, not really. Like, they're $30 a piece, right? I'm like, I just need one. It's like, okay. So he scans it, right? He's like, really? I look at the price. You're not going to guess how much I bought 3 of these. How much do you think I paid per each?
How much?
I paid like $7.
What?
I know.
Wow, for $7, yeah, I would be like, what the heck? Yeah,
So,
give me all of them.
I did. I was like, well, hell, for that much, give me all of them. He's like, oh, I wanted one. I was like, do you really want one? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, fine. I'll let you have one. Right? So I took 3 of them. I was like, heck, I have no use for them right now. But heck, for $7 and down the line, like, yeah, they're only 120 gig, but as a boot drive, like,
I mean, for $7, you
Exactly.
just gotta have it.
I know, for $7, it's
Gotta
like,
have it.
I can't pass those up.
Gotta have it.
So what you need to do, Zach, is you need to go down to your local Staples, see if they have any of these, and see what the price is.
I don't think I have a Staples.
I'm wondering if they're wanting
I'm
to.
sure there's a Staples somewhere, but I don't even know where.
I'm wondering if they want to clear them out of their inventory or something like that. If that was what was happening, or maybe there was a pricing error
Could just be
somewhere
an
or
error.
something. Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, I was like, yeah, heck, for $7, I'll take them, like, So I've got 2 more, unused, not doing anything, and so I've got a 120 gig SSD as a boot device for Proxmox, and then for my VM storage, I have 2 Barracuda, or Seagate Barracuda drives.
So if you're doing a server, why don't you just do a RAID?
See, okay, I thought about that, right? But I'm not super worried about backup. If I lose the systems, I lose them, right?
Oh yeah, but if you
Well, okay,
I mean,
hang
a
on.
RAID also can offer you additional performance.
That's true. I wanted the storage space more than anything. So that's
In fairness, a RAID 1 would be faster on read and not cost
yeah,
you
but if I
any
lose a
storage.
drive, I'm screwed.
Oh, a RAID 1, you can lose a drive.
Is it a RAID 1, or am I thinking RAID 0?
RAID 0, you're screwed.
Got it. That's what it is.
RAID
0.
1 is mirroring. So, like with mirroring, right? I mean, obviously, it's the same as speed as the slowest drive to write. So it's slow to write, but faster to read.
Well, they're the same. They're the same drives. So.
Oh yeah, whatever. You get what I mean.
I know. I thought about that, but I decided that, like, if I lose a drive, I lose a drive, right? I wanted the actual space itself. And most of these are running like Linux distros of so my go-to Linux distro now is I didn't mean to hit that. I got too many buttons. My distro of choice right now has been Debian.
Yep, I noticed you had a template.
Yes. And the reason I decided Debian is it's like a lot of distributions are based on Debian, and Debian itself is pretty lightweight. With no GUI, you can run it on like 512 gigs of memory. Or not megabytes. I'm sorry, not gigs, megabytes.
Wait, gigs, I didn't catch that.
That would be pretty. Yeah, that
Can
would be...
I have some?
that'd be some operating system there. But yeah, 512 megabytes of memory. So they're pretty light, and my systems don't have GUIs on them. So you know, I don't know. I was just like, okay, fine. I'm gonna use Debian. I could use Ubuntu and other things like that, but I just chose Debian, and Debian takes for freaking ever to install though. So that's why there's a template in here.
So So is it configured at all, or is it just an
So
install?
here's how that
install?
template works, right? So it
Yes,
is,
you can clone a VM.
and that's what it does.
Right.
It clones the VM. So it's already got the memory set up. It's already got a 20 gig drive set up. So it clones all that stuff, right? Most of these systems don't need more than probably 20 gigs of space anyway, and that's probably pretty big. But if I've got like 4 terabytes in my system of raw storage, like 20 gigs, like whatever, right? Now apparently, supposedly Proxmox actually, and this is the other reason I did this, is apparently unlike some VM solutions, Proxmox, when you set up a VM, if you tell it it's 20, it's got a 20 gig drive, it doesn't do the smart thing where it uses up to that space. At least that's my understanding. It actually partitions that much space in the drive.
Oh yeah, so you're saying that with other VM solutions, they can potentially
They have a dynamic disk, basically. So
essentially over allocate storage. Like
No,
they can
no, no,
allocate
no.
more storage than you have.
no. That's not how that works.
Mistakenly.
So like no. So VM or not VMware. Well yeah, I think ESXi does this, but VirtualBox. When you set up a
I know
VM
I know what you're talking about. What you're gonna say is they like what Proxmox does is it will, when you tell it I'm giving you a 20 gigabyte disk, it will already consume 20 gigabytes.
Right,
And
yes.
say, yes, this is for nothing else. This is only for this VM.
Right,
But
exactly.
other solutions don't do that.
Right. Other solutions allow you to have a dynamic disk. I don't know. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's been changed in
I believe that is still the case.
in 6.3-2. So I don't necessarily love that, and that's the other reason why I decided to just use to not do a RAID configuration. That's the other reason why I just decided to leave 4 terabytes of space for VMs. So if it didn't do that, I probably would have decided to maybe do a RAID solution in here. But I've got something else coming too that we'll talk about in a second.
So are you just using this to screw around with, or what does it do?
So some of it is for a home lab environment, and some of it is to run some production stuff. Actually, let's talk about it real quick. Let me pull it up real quick here. So here we go. I don't know how well this is going to come through, but so the overall system itself is Nebula. That's what I named it, right?
Notice they're all named after like galaxies and stuff like that.
It is space themed. For most of
okay.
this.
Galaxies would be a dumb thing to say, yes. But yes.
So yeah,
Celestial objects.
yes, basically. Like I said, I decided to go with like a space theme. Just because. I don't know. Like I like naming
You like to name things.
I like to name things. Yes, you're right. And so when I'm thinking about naming things, I want something kind of cool and creative. So this
Okay,
first VM
sure.
here is Andromeda. And Andromeda is my VPN VM. So it is running.
Oh, okay. That's
Yep.
cool.
So it is running Pi VPN, which is based on Open.
What the heck? I should get one of those.
Which is based on OpenVPN. And
is this like a VPN server so that you
Mhm.
can
I can
VPN to your house?
I can VPN into the house.
Oh, I need to get one of those.
Yep. So I can VPN
totally
into the
need to do
house and into my local network, right? So that's what Andromeda is, and that's all that system does. It's dedicated just to be the VM, or not the VM, the VPN. That's it. Funny story about that in a second, actually. The next VM that I have is Hesper. And Hesper is doing a couple things right now. One, and you'll be proud of me in a second. One, it's running cups, so that devices like my Chromebook and iPads and stuff like that can print. So it is a Linux-based print server.
Huh.
And that was interesting to get set up. I had to figure out how to install drivers for my Canon printer. Turns out you just download them and then you run a shell command. Or like is it like a shell file or something like that, or I don't know. They have a compiler basically that you run and then it actually installs them. It took me a while to figure that out, but anyway, yeah.
You mean script?
Or script, yeah, I'm sorry, a script.
Compiler. I was like, what?
Well, I don't know. It does a bunch of stuff and installs a bunch of things. I don't know what it does. I just see a bunch of text scrolling on the screen. And then, bada bing, bada boom, all of a sudden, hey, I have drivers for my Canon printer so that this VM can print to it. And then, yeah, and it broadcasts it on the network and says, hey, I'm a print server. And the second thing that Hesper is doing is set up as a Pi-hole server.
Oh, nice.
So
Ad block.
I actually have some ad block. Now, it doesn't work on, and I could do some research into this. Supposedly, the ad servers for like YouTube change quite frequently. So it's not great on YouTube. In fact, it doesn't work at all on YouTube. Actually, take that back.
uBlock does a good job.
What did you say?
uBlock does a good job.
I'm sure there's some
You have
repos
to
out there.
install that locally.
I'm sure there's some repos that I could install into Pi-hole to make that
yeah,
work.
maybe.
But other sites like The Verge, yeah, like no ads. Speedtest.net, I think is it. No ads. they're
That's great.
gone. And I may set that up as well as a DNS server inside of the house, like my own personal DNS server for our network.
Isn't that what Pi-hole does?
Kind of. It's a recursive DNS server, basically. What I'm talking is that I would actually like set up a DNS server in the house that would go out to the local authority or the I forget what it's called, but it would actually keep track of instead of using like Google's like DNS servers, I would actually host that inside my own network. So, let's see.
I'd probably skip that. Just no benefit, really.
Yeah, I don't know. Just to be geeky. I don't know.
That's true.
Anyway.
It's just to do it.
And this is one of the awesome things about having a virtualization server is that if I want to screw with it, I can load it in another VM, see what it's like, see if I like it, and then if I don't, I can just delete it. And it's done. This next one is Bellatrix. This one is currently off. This is the one and only Windows VM that is in the stack right now.
Wow, look at you, you Linux hipster.
So what Bellatrix is a Windows 10 VM for running QuickBooks, basically, inside of it.
QuickBooks.
For
Heck, you need QuickBooks for
business. I have to keep track of all that, taxes and money in and money out for business and things like that.
So why do you need a VM for that? Just
Well,
'cause?
so the reason I decided to do it in a VM is because this allows me to just fire up the VM and then access QuickBooks from any system because it's local to the computer.
Okay, I get that.
Also, if I want Joe to help me, I can get him set up with a VPN and then he can RDP into it.
Oh,
So.
okay, I get that. That's cool.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
Let's see. Kelvin. Kelvin is, now we're back to Linux again. Kelvin is my web server. So I previously had a web server in the house and I just pulled it out of the closet today. It was sitting downstairs in a little closet running on an old gateway system from like the Windows Vista era. And it was running Fedora.
Awesome.
So Kelvin is running Apache 2 and MySQL on it, and then PHP. I was up to like 3 last night trying to get this set up. So I had a database. In college, I took a database and SQL class, and as part of the project, we had to create a database and then a web page to go along with it. And I copied all that stuff and had it working on the old server. So copied all my stuff. Turns out that in Apache 2, the newer versions of like PHP don't let like personal websites outside of or like users' personal websites outside of like the main like website directory where things are supposed to be stored. Anyway, like PHP just doesn't work, so you have to go in and like turn that on. So I was like, okay, fine, I have PHP turned on. And then apparently newer versions of MySQL you have to specifically go in and set up users to actually authenticate with a traditional password. Like, you actually have to put that in when you're creating the user. So anyway, I thought I had it all set up, and then I went to the web pages, and I'm like, why am I getting just a blank web page? So that took a while to figure out how to troubleshoot and things like that. But it's up and running. I've got it finally finished and configured. It has a what is it? It has SSH encryption turned on using Let's Encrypt. So if you actually go to it, and actually let's do it real quick. So if I go to it, I have a secure connection to it. It's got an SSH.
Nice web page.
Yeah, I know. This web server right here is purely for lab environment stuff. So anyway, but it is SSH encrypted. Because, that's always a good thing to do. But yeah, so that's what Kelvin is right there. And then the next one down is another system that's not actually powered on right now. This is Orion. Orion is going to be for me to learn Docker. So I want to play with it. I want to learn how to use Docker, how to get it to interact with things, stuff like that. And this is going to be one of those VMs that I just fire up when I want to use it. It's not going to be one that's just always consistently on.
You aren't giving these VMs very much memory, are you?
No, because they really don't need it.
I guess not.
Like the VPN server, Andromeda, like it really doesn't need that much memory. Hesper to run a and actually, and you can even see if we look at these, okay, Hesper is using about 36% of its allocated memory, up to 2 gigs. Andromeda is only using about 20. Kelvin, okay, Kelvin's a little bit higher. I could maybe give it some more memory. These are things that I have to keep an eye on and things like that, obviously, but so Kelvin actually is using a decent amount. But I started low because, again, these are systems that are running non-GUI versions of Linux, so they don't really need that like a ton of resources, honestly. So most of them only have 2 CPU cores, and that's honestly, for these Linux systems, a lot. They don't even need that. This one, though, does have some more resources allocated to it, and that is Plex, my new Plex server, hopefully.
What are you using for a GPU for that?
I'm not.
Doesn't it require a GPU?
No. So here's the thing. So you can use a GPU for Plex encoding.
Yeah.
Or you can do GPU based. I'm gonna see how this works. This is gonna be
GPU based. Means CPU based?
Or CPU based, I'm sorry. Yep.
Oh.
This is gonna be a test. I'm gonna see how it works. It's not set up fully yet. And the reason it's not set up fully yet is because I am waiting for something to come tomorrow, and that is a new Synology NAS.
Oh, that's cool.
So I have a NAS solution in the house. I've had it for years. It is a 1 terabyte MyBook Live running on 10100.
That's not good.
And it's something I've been meaning to. Hey, you know what? It served my needs very, very well.
Sure
up until
did,
now.
But it's not good.
Up until now. But the MyBook Live does not play nice with Linux operating systems. Now, my understanding is that Synology's operating system actually is Linux based, so it should integrate just fine with Proxmox and all of my Linux systems here. And so what I also did is I picked up 2 4 terabyte Seagate like NAS drives as well. That's all coming tomorrow, supposedly. It should be. It's coming from Amazon. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the 2 drives. By default, what the Synology NAS is going to do, it's going to tie those together in a RAID configuration.
Okay.
And then there are some online backup solutions as well. I think Backblaze is the one that I'm looking at. And I think it'll let me back up unlimited amount of or an unlimited amount of stuff for like $60 a year, which is
Wow,
actually
that's it.
which is actually pretty cool.
That's not bad.
No, and so for $60 a year,
for $60 a year,
I think that's all
Jeez.
it is. Yeah, and for $60 a year, like what I'm gonna do is I'm going to have the Synology NAS set up that will have its RAID solution in place. So if I lose a drive, I can just put a new one in, and then at $60 a year, I'm gonna back up the entire Synology NAS off site.
That's gonna be a big backup.
It is gonna be a big backup, but well, no,
But if you're paying for it, you might as well.
I'm not gonna have that much stuff on it. Like I've honestly had my little NAS, my MyBook Live NAS, since I was like in high school. It's a terabyte, and it's not even close to being filled yet.
Fair enough.
And I don't have to back up every single thing on the NAS too. I can back up certain things too, to Backblaze. But what I'm going to use that for is network storage for my Plex media, basically. That's why I decided to go 4 terabytes. And then I will connect the Synology NAS to the Plex VM, so that it can, so that it's not storing it locally on the VM server on Nebula. It's storing it, in the network storage, basically. But it's a test. I don't know what the performance is going to be like out of this. Right now I've got Plex running on top of, it's running on Maverick right now. And I don't actually know I think Maverick still has the 730 inside of it, which has NVENC encoding. So I don't know if it's actually using that or not when I'm streaming off of it. But I don't have that. And here's the thing, though.
Interestingly, the 730 actually doesn't.
I thought it did.
Encoder. It actually doesn't.
I thought it did because that's why we bought one when we were first starting the RAM show.
I don't recall exactly what we did then.
No, it has NVENC encoding on it because we can encode on the GPU.
I don't know about that.
It does.
I really don't think so. No, I really don't think so.
It does because
Well, you know what? I will find a source for that.
Because we're using a 730 at the church and we have NVENC encoding on.
Well, I'm going to find a source for that.
So anyway, so I don't know how Plex is going to cooperate with that. Now what I may be able to do is pull the graphics card out of Maverick and put it into the Proxmox server and then use it still. I don't know if it'll pass it through or not. But this is purely a test right now. So Plex is at least set up. There's no media on it. I'm not streaming off of it yet because I need the Synology NAS first. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it works. And then the final thing down here is this Debian template here. So what the template is, it's a fully set up version of Debian. It's got a root user and, I mean, of course it has a root user on it already. Then it also creates an account for myself. And then sets the password to something super primitive. Password out of the box. Don't worry, I changed that. It was just because, like, inevitably down the line, I won't be loading, like, VMs as often as I'm doing right now, and I'm gonna be like, what the flip did I use for the password, right? So that's why I just decided to go password, because it's easy to remember. And then it uses something called Cloudinit or something like that, which basically, like, regenerates the SSH keys for it and does a couple of other housekeeping things. It generates a new machine ID for it and stuff like that. And then I just uninstall that. But it's pretty vanilla out of the box. So anyway. But yeah, so there you go. There's my Proxmox server.
Neato.
So it's pretty loud. It's not the loudest
I bet
thing
it's
ever.
loud.
It's not the loudest thing in the world. It's not as loud as like actual legit servers, but it's loud. The fans run full speed. There's no fan controller on there. I could probably add one if I really wanted to, but anyway, there's not a lot of room in that case though. So now that I have everything in there,
A 1U is not gonna have the most room.
well, it's 1U and it's half width
Oh wow.
or half length. It's not full length. But I don't need. I mean, most of the rest of the length in a server case is for storage. You know. So anyway, but yeah, there you go. There's my Proxmox server, and then I will have my new NAS coming tomorrow that I'll be getting set up. So I'm excited to finally have like a Synology solution. And the only reason I decided to go with the Synology solution was because total everything was about $300 or so, a little over $300. And a much faster solution than what I would, well, faster and cheaper than what I would love to do down the line, and that is, what do you think?
I actually don't know.
I really would love to build like a free NAS box, like a free NAS server down the line.
Yeah, I feel that.
But like, and it's not so much the hardware that's gonna be like the core hardware that's gonna be expensive, because I can go with a lot of the same components that I went with for this build. You know, LGA 2011 socket. You know, I probably don't need 32 gigs of RAM. I could probably
I would have
get away
just
with
bought
16.
a used server.
The problem with
used server.
the problem with used servers is that they consume a lot of power, and they're super
They
loud.
really though? They're loud, yes. But
Yeah.
you have a basement.
I do have a basement. I only have so much space down there.
Yeah, but if you have your space for this.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't
but
know.
here's the thing: is that if
I
I'm
don't know,
going,
whatever works for you.
if
I
I'm
guess.
building a like a free NAS box, I'm gonna do a decent amount of storage in it. And we're talking quite a few drives, like a lot of drives. Like we're not talking just a few drives here. We're talking like full on, like, you know, like those systems that have like 16 drives in them.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of money for drives. Even if we are going, mechanical. And like it depends on what I throw in there too. So
Of course you're going mechanical on something like that.
I might take one of those 120 SSDs and use it as a cache drive. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, it's all stuff I want to do down the line. I'm very like, I like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're doing it just cause.
It's fun. It's like, why not?
I do know.
Well, okay, but see, here's the thing about this, is that, like, there's so much stuff that I like to play around with, software, things like that. I want to learn Docker. And then once I learn Docker, Kubernetes and other things like that. And having space to load up VMs in. What else do I want to do? Oh, yeah, I want to get a license for Server 2019. Load that in a VM.
Yeah, just go get one on like G2A or something. People hate on those sites, but imagine paying the full price for that.
No, I'm actually gonna get a legitimate copy for a good price. So since I do the IT management for the church, we have access to that software pretty cheaply. So I can get a license for about $11.
Excuse me.
Huh?
Can I put in a request? Can I buy through you? I'm being dead serious right now.
What do you want Server 2019 for?
I want a key. I'll tell you later. I want a key. I'm dead serious.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
I have a bargaining chip now.
What? What are you gonna try to do? Blackmail me? Remember, just consider that you're only bribing me, I should say, for about $20 worth here. Okay. If you go on G2A, just buy one for like $30. And
Mm.
sure, people say, "Oh, G2A is such a bad website," but look,
This
you know,
this
you
will
pay.
this will be a legitimate key. If,
Serious thing.
this will be a
isn't
legitimate key
serious
that I get
thing.
to.
If I get burned, oh well, it's only whatever.
No, I'm gonna be getting a legitimate key for it.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway,
I wouldn't buy one if it wasn't legit. I'd pirate it.
And the reason why I can justify this, so that's why I said I gotta talk with you. We'll talk about it after the show. But the reason I can justify it for myself, at least, is because we will be launching Server 2019 at the church within the next couple of years or so. And so I figure learning it and being familiar with it is probably a good thing. Since I'll have to support it. So that's the reason I'm doing that. But yeah, working with nonprofits is great. You get a decent amount of stuff for good prices. So anyway, yeah. See, Zach, some community service would do you good.
Nah.
Or just have connections, right? But anyway, yeah, so that's part of the reason that I wanted to also build a virtualization server. It's something I wanted to do down the line, but it's allowing me to get rid of, if Plex works through this decently well, then I can get rid of that other system that I have sitting in the house, and run all of this on one system. In a completely virtualized environment. See, initially, okay, that system was going to be, the idea behind it was to have an HTPC, right?
Yep.
Here's the thing. The HTPC concept is kind of dead.
Well, kind of, but not really. Okay, see, here, if I was going to do an HTPC-like thing in 2021, what I would do is some kind of like I don't know what the right word would be, but like almost like a thin pointing to a storage location that has all the content.
See, okay, here's my thing, right? Is that basically an iPad or even my cell phone and a Chromecast.
Oh, are you talking about just casting to the TV?
Yep.
I mean, I can respect that,
Mhm.
but for me, there would be some value in having a device that I could just like have a little mouse and keyboard at the TV.
Okay, fine. And if I wanted to do that, a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. I like that idea.
Raspberry Pi. Like, honestly. Yep. But it's so simple these days, especially the Chromecast. Like, they're $30, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess a Raspberry Pi itself is about that much. I mean, they get quite expensive once you start getting other things involved in there. The Raspberry Pi, a case, storage for it, heat sinks, all this other stuff. They get expensive pretty quick after that. But like $100 for a little system, like not horrible. Oh, by the way, you can run Plex on things like a Raspberry Pi or like the server itself. I mean, or even off of the Synology,
that doesn't surprise
or the
me,
Synology NAS.
The server, the server process itself is not really very demanding. It just needs a bucket load of storage.
Right, and then depending on how many. So here's the thing. In my situation, only about, at most, you'll probably have 2 people hitting it at a time, right?
Well, it depends. I mean, yeah.
Typically one person.
Most likely if you're just in a household.
Right.
Yeah.
Typically one person at a time, right? And I'm not doing anything crazy like 4K or anything like that. So I expect with 4 cores on that Plex VM to actually be pretty good. But again,
Well, it depends what the encoding performance is. Like if you're encoding
Right.
on the CPU, who knows what it will be.
right, exactly.
I honestly have no idea. I've never done that. So
But-
I
but
really
like I
don't even
said-
know what to tell you to expect.
Like I said, the Plex server will run on something like a Synology NAS, which probably has far fewer resources than that VM
But
that
I
I've got
bet
there.
doing so probably requires a separate solution for encoding then, don't you think?
No, I think you just set it up and it's good to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. I
think-
should
I
probably just
think-
stop talking because I don't really know anything about
Yeah,
Plex.
I think the thing about Plex is I think it's when you start having multiple people hitting it at the same time, like large numbers of people and like 4K content. That's where having something like a GPU encoder really comes in.
I don't
handy.
even own. I don't even own a 4K display.
No, I don't either. Nope.
The highest resolution device I own is my phone.
Yeah, you know what? Me too.
And that's probably the case for you too.
Yep, exactly. That's it. Yep, my phone.
Oh, that's funny.
You know what I've
It's
noticed?
funny because it's like the smallest device, but there's
Right.
like more resolution.
Um,
Oh,
you
I guess.
know,
won't lie, a lot of new phones
I
look
think-
darn good on those displays.
I think it's about time though, Zach.
What? Phone?
No, not new phone.
The monitors?
Battery.
Oh, a new battery. Okay.
I am terrified of opening my phone.
Oh.
Like again, like
What if I brought you my phone and was like, "Hey, can you do a battery for me?" Would
oh,
you be
I
afraid?
would have no problem with it.
Okay. So I guess you don't value my data that much.
No. Like
Oh, I gotta tell you.
I
what was
value your
something I did
data.
with
Like
my
I value
phone.
your data and I value your phone and things like that. But
I gotta
like,
tell you something I did with my phone when you're done. Oh.
okay, hang on. Yeah, no, like no. Like I value that stuff and like I'm gonna be careful and things like that. It's just like, and the likelihood of me like doing something like to my phone is probably pretty low, and even if I do, I can fix it. The biggest thing I'm worried about is I'm one of those people that likes things to be as original as possible.
No,
um,
I respect that. I agree with you.
And so the biggest thing that I'm worried about is cracking the back glass.
It needs to be It needs to be at least equivalent to original.
Right.
If it functions at that level, I don't care what it is. I don't care if the battery is made out of like literal lemons. You know how you make a lemon
Oh,
battery?
so
I don't care
actually,
if
I'll
there's
tell
literally
you this.
lemons inside. If it works just as well, I don't care.
I'll tell you this. So
Can't tell the difference. I don't care.
yeah, I'll tell you this. But no, I'm worried about cracking the back glass. That's what I'm worried about. And I know I can replace the back glass, but then it's not original.
Yeah, mine's
anymore.
glass too.
Yeah, then it's not
I hate
original
that.
anymore.
I hate that trend.
Now the last time that I broke a back glass was I can't even tell you when. So I'm pretty good at taking them
your
off.
brain's just telling you like
Yeah.
you got to be afraid with your phone.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's
yeah.
that's
I get what
honestly
you
the
mean.
biggest thing that I'm worried about is cracking the back glass. Other than that, like I don't care. I don't want to break my back glass. I don't want to crack it.
Okay,
Again, I know I
so-
can replace it. But it's not original at that point. So that's the big thing. But no,
You're not even going to believe what I accidentally did to my phone.
hang on.
last-
Hang on. So here's the thing though, is that my entity that I work for right now, we are a independent service provider for Samsung. And we
You
are
can get
getting
original.
we are getting OEM parts from Samsung. So I will have an OEM battery. I'm going to get the OEM adhesive for this. All that stuff. So like that'll all be OEM. So you know, that makes me happy. But anyway, I'm prolonging it as long as I can. Just being honest. And I'm not even worried about like the waterproofness or anything like that. Like I know once I open it, it'll never be waterproof like it is ever again. Or I'm sorry, waterproof.
Resistant.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, okay, so what did you do?
All right, this is really dumb and really bad, but I literally accidentally wiped my phone.
What?
I'm not even kidding. No. I
How?
was so
How?
angry.
How?
Oh, I was trying to. I was trying to apply the update and OS update while maintaining the root, and I did something dumb, and I don't know. Like I just clicked through the menus wrong. I was literally trying to find the go back button in the menu that was in Chinese because I pushed the wrong language.
Hey,
And
Zach?
it
Zach.
reboots and says it's wiping the phone. Do not turn it off. And I knew I was screwed. I'm like, I actually can't turn it off. I bricked.
Hey, Zach?
Oh,
Zach.
so bad. What? Oh, no. Look, if you were doing that, look, this happened last Sunday.
That's the thing.
If you did, I would have slapped you if you did.
Okay,
that.
actually, you know what? You know what? Hang on.
Oh,
Okay?
so bad.
I will tell you, not with my phone. I did that with a website one time, though.
You know,
Like,
okay. So
I deleted
you
an
know what?
entire website by accident.
I got bailed out so much by the automatic Google Drive backup. I got bailed out so
So-
much by it.
Okay, here's the
It didn't
thing.
preserve everything, and I'm still missing one relatively not that valuable account that I had in Google Authenticator.
Oh,
Unfortunately, it didn't back up the app data for it. I need to put in a ticket, I need to put in a second ticket because it's been a week and I haven't heard from them. But honestly, the biggest loss was my authenticator keys.
Okay, yeah. I don't have any authenticator keys on here. I know all my
really
stuff.
I really should just use my old phone as like a second authenticator and just put them in both phones so that if anything happens, I can get them.
But
yeah, that was honestly like, I mean, look, here's what I think about it. Okay, I think that menu is designed really stupidly. First of all, for like the default options in every button press to just be wipe the phone.
sorry, nobody, you can hear me, but
If you click through the options, I came to discover that if you click through the options as like the first thing in that menu, it will wipe the phone. If you just push the first option, it will wipe the phone. I found that out after the fact, obviously.
So
First of all, that is really dumb. Who designed that? I legit have no idea who designed that. But like, you know, I'm not guilt free. I did something
Yeah.
dumb.
I deleted the entire website one time that I was working on by accident.
It was horrible. It was really dumb. I'm sure, like, I don't know. I'm sure that's funny to somebody maybe, but
Like yeah, like I said, I've done it.
funny.
I did it with a MySQL database that had a website inside of it, like a production website, and I like wiped the entire website by accident. I was like, crap. And like,
I mean,
you know it when you do it.
there's nothing like the realization of what you've done. My God, it was so bad. I thought I was so screwed, but the Google backup actually saved me so much.
So all my phone numbers and stuff.
It restored like 35 gigabytes of data.
Dang.
Not even kidding. It restores so much. I was shocked at how much it had, but it didn't have everything, and I was really angry that it didn't have everything.
My
my keys, my authenticator keys.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
my
I
keys.
don't have anything like that on here. My phone numbers back up. They're already, they go straight into my Google account. My photos back up to Google Photos.
I have all mine too.
And other than that, it's mostly just apps on here. And so, like, if I were to lose my phone tomorrow, like, I'd probably be, like, I'd be frustrated that I lost my phone. Like, I'm saying, like, legitimately. Or, like, if it just crashed or something. Like, if it crashed or something like that, or I accidentally did that, like, yeah, I'd be, like, kind of frustrated with it. But, like, at least all my stuff would be safe. So.
I was really. It took me like 2 hours to root it again too because I tried to.
And you're like, it's one of those things too where like you see it pop up and it's like wiping all of your data, factory resetting, and you're like,
you see it happen and you know you can't do anything.
You're like,
because if you turn it off, you probably brick the phone.
Right.
It's like if you turn off your computer during a BIOS update. Don't do it. Just don't.
Oh my gosh, I've done BIOS updates on stuff. Every freaking time I do a BIOS update, I am scared like ishless.
I've done enough of those that I don't care anymore.
I've done it enough times too where nothing's gone wrong, and like I have Redmond on a UPS, so like I'm not worried about the power going out, but like it still kind of scares me. Like you could legitimately brick your system. Like it's a possibility. So.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the worst thing that could happen is you need a new motherboard.
Yeah,
which would be $100.
Let's talk about this. I'll show you this. Hang on, I'm gonna pull this up. I do want to talk about a couple topics this week at least.
Basically talked about nothing.
Well, you know what? This show has basically become us just, you know. I'm honestly thinking about making this show a little bit more just chill and laid back and like, you know, just talking about random tech stuff.
It is. We just do whatever we want.
I know. That's basically the beauty of the show. Like that's what we do. Anyway, Yeah, can you see that, Zach? What does that say right up to the top?
Oh, no more LastPass.
Hmm.
Oh,
No.
wait, and it, wait. What? Oh, this sucks. Wow,
What?
you need to get uBlock too, so you can so it will do the formatting for you, so it will remove that crap.
It got rid of the ones down here.
Huh. uBlock gets rid of all of them. I'm serious. If you never used it, you use it. Do yourself a
You know
favor.
what's weird? If I pull up the same page in
It's a browser thing.
oh no, okay, it does just show an empty spot. It depends on how the web page is designed and things like that. Like, it honestly doesn't bother me. Like, look, I had ads on stuff for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I've had ads off stuff for a very, very long time.
I know, so it doesn't bother me. But you should at least be happy that I have some form of ad blocking now.
I mean, good for you, but ultimately, if you want to look at ads, I don't care.
Right.
What's it to me?
Anyway, no. So
Your
security.
problem, not mine.
Get this though. Speaking of like keys and things like that, a security researcher is recommending against LastPass password management after detailing 7 trackers found in the Android app. The Register reports. Although there is no suggestion that the trackers, which were analyzed by researcher Mike Kukits, are transferring a user's actual passwords or usernames, he says their presence is bad practice for a security critical app handling such sensitive information. I would agree.
Seems fair to me, I guess.
I would agree.
I would probably use something open source for that. Like, isn't KeyPass open source?
You know what? Okay, so
For some reason, in my head that it is. I don't know if that's
we use Cloud, or well, it's called Cloud Blue. It's based on, what is it? It's based on Nextcloud. And there's a module inside of Nextcloud that you can install for like a password vault. I don't know if it does the one, like the single,
my employer uses a thing called Password State.
yeah, I don't know if it, I'm sure there are open source solutions out there that you can host yourself.
I actually really think that. Oh well, I'm talking about just running on the desktop, like on your desktop.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there are. I don't know.
Google it.
I know all my passwords.
KeyPass is open source.
That's
Just like a desktop one.
I know all my passwords, so I just type them in. Like,
I know most of mine too, but there's some old ones I don't remember.
If there are ones
you
that
ever play Password Roulette?
I do. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we use RepairQ at my entity, for handling all of our like intakes and like device repair stuff. So when a device comes in, we log into RepairQ and keep track of all the information. So and then that integrates via API with our retail management system. But yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Anyway, there's been some interesting things there. Yeah. Anyway, so our entity is looking at transitioning to like single sign-on using like Google for everything, and the thing is that once you sign in to RepairQ, it remembers your password for a decent amount of time until it either makes you reset it or it just for some reason like gets cleared out of the cache or something like that. So I got logged out the other day. I had to play password roulette to figure out what it was to get back in because I never use that password. So anyway, so there was that. But yeah, typically no. That's why I purposely on that template VM that I made. That is why I purposely set the password to password. And then I just know I need to change it. But like, what's somebody going to do with a cloned VM? Right? And like, you have to get into Proxmox first, the Proxmox dashboard before you can even build a new VM.
Oh yeah, that that little built-in VNC thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super cool.
Oh yeah, it is.
Awesome.
It is freaking cool.
I don't know if that's a common feature. I never tried another
So there is
and like environment manager.
so
tool.
there's something called Guacamole that you can install on Linux, and it basically gives you a like it's a remote client inside of a web browser, basically. It's kind of
That's
cool.
like a remote like terminal session.
It can do terminal, but it can also load in like Windows environments using the RDP protocol, but it's all inside of a web browser window.
Cool.
So yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Let's see here. Actually, we'll use this one. Let's see. Yeah, you're talking this little thing right here, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the no VNC. Yep.
Pretty neat.
But yeah, there you go. I can get right in. So I learned Linux in Fedora, and so one of the things that I'm so used to doing is typing the LL command, which by default is not turned on in Debian.
Did you include a customization in your template to turn that on?
No, I don't actually think, I don't remember. No, I think I still have to go in and set that up every time.
Okay.
But
Maybe you should just do it on your template.
the problem is with the template already built, if I restart the template, it will actually break things.
Will it break the ones you clone?
No, it won't break those, but I'll have to go in and do some reconfigurations into that template again. So by default, is it? Basically, it. I don't actually. Let's see. CS. I don't know where it is, but there's a machine ID tied to like when you install Linux, it creates a machine ID. And in some distributions, I don't know if Debian does this. I should maybe check, but I know in like Ubuntu, like newer versions of Ubuntu, the IP address isn't tied to a MAC address, it's tied to the machine ID. And so if you clone
does it keep the same MAC address? Is what you're saying?
Well, it can create issues with IP addressing. So what I have it set up so that that machine ID file is empty in that template there. And if I restart the system, if I start that VM up, it will generate a machine ID. And so if I want to create a template again, I have to basically go back in and clean those files out again, like delete them and then set them as 0. So that way when it on first boot of the new VMs, it generates those files again, basically.
Okay, interesting.
So anyway, yeah, but honestly, it's not that bad. So sudo, and then a tilde, a / period, bash, rc. Oops, I need nano in here too. Nano or vi. And so this is like the bash script file, and it's already in here. It's just commented out. Here it is right here. I don't know if you can actually see that or not. It's probably really small, but it already has the LL command in here. It's just commented out by default.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's pretty fast to turn it on. So
Interesting.
Oh, you'll laugh at this. So I've been using this.
What is that?
This is Solar Putty from SolarWinds.
Wow. Hope you don't get hacked by Mr. Putin.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think Mr. Putin cares what you're doing. With it.
Basically, it's a nicer interface, but it uses PuTTY inside of it. So this is PuTTY right here, just with a nicer interface in order to get into the to pick the system that you want to SSH into, basically. So they're a little bit nicer to name, and then I can actually have multiple sessions open within SolarPuTTY at the same time. So it's actually been really nice. So I can load up Kelvin, and then I can say I want to load up Orion. Oh, wait, Orion's not going to work because Orion's not actually online, but I can load up Hesper, and then I can switch back and forth between them pretty quick. And then, like, one of the things is like, when you close, or, like, even reboot, like a VM, especially inside of PuTTY, you know how it closes the terminal window. And in this case, if it does, let's say, like, I shut down Hesper, or, like, reboot it, I just close it, or even, like, this one, like Kelvin, I just close it, and it brings me back to this. I don't have to relaunch PuTTY again. I just say, hey, I want to reconnect back in. So anyway, yeah, so yeah, I mean, it is made by SolarWinds, but basically they've just kind of customized PuTTY a little bit. I don't think I'm going to get hacked or anything. Since this is all local.
Out.
I know. This is all local, though, so anyway. But, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, okay, so responding to the report, a spokesperson from LastPass says the company gathers limited data about how LastPass is used to help it improve and optimize the product.
Oh, of course they do.
You know, I'd be okay with this if they, and I don't know, I can't say, if they give you an opt-out option, I'd be okay with it. But I think at the very least, you should have an opt-out option. Actually, I'd be even happier if these companies used an opt-in option.
Yes. That should be like, that should be the law, honestly. Like, you can't collect data on people without just an opt-in, right?
Yeah.
They have to choose to be collected.
Well, what you're seeing with
a
lot
of no one's going to choose to be spied on.
what you're seeing with a lot of websites now with GDPR is
GDPR is a step in the right direction, I think.
What you're seeing with GDPR is at least the websites have to present you with, you know, the option.
Prompt.
Yeah.
Here's what we're spying on.
Now, a lot of times they make it pretty unclear. Like they make the accept all
stuff, like they make you click all of the ones to get rid of.
Right, exactly. Some sites I've seen, there's a button that says reject all. But they don't necessarily make it very clear. Yeah, and usually the button to just accept all was like right there. Usually the like pick your options button is like a little tiny option like in the corner. So anyway, but yeah. Importantly, LastPass tells the register that no sensitive personal identifiable user data or vault action could be passed through these trackers, and users can opt out of the analytics in the privacy section of the advanced settings menu. Okay, so they at least give you an option to opt out. I can be okay.
Yeah, but I think the point is that it's bad practice for a password manager tool to be like collecting any data at all.
I would agree. And
especially, why would you even use it when there are free open source alternatives that don't spy on you?
Or you could just use NordPass.
What? A joke?
Yeah, it was meant to be a joke.
Okay. I thought so.
Yeah, that was meant to be a joke. Yeah, NordPass. I don't know if I necessarily trust products from Nord. I
wouldn't exactly trust products from a company that got hacked. Security products from a company that got hacked.
Look, okay, hang on. Even like nobody's immune from being hacked. I don't think it was the fact that they were hacked. I thought it was the fact that they were hacked and they were keeping like log data or something like that. I thought it was what it was. Or something. I don't remember exactly what the whole issue was there with NordVPN, but anyway. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. It was like log data or something like that that people weren't happy with or something. I can't remember. Anyway, so LastPass trackers include 4 from Google, which handle analytics and crash reporting, as well as 1 from a company called Segment, which reportedly gathers data for marketing teams. Okay. Make sure you have your Pi server enabled, or Pi-hole server enabled. I'm sorry. Actually, I don't know if that would block it, or it probably would if you had the right.
It might. If you had the right filter, it would.
Yeah, if you had the right filter, yeah. So they analyzed the data being transmitted and found it included information about the smartphone's make and model, as well as information about whether the user has biometric security enabled. Okay. Even if the data transmitted isn't personally identifiable, just integrating the this third-party code in the first place introduces the potential for security vulnerabilities. If you actually use LastPass, they recommend changing the password. This guy says, I recommend changing the password manager. There are solutions that do not permanently send data to third parties and record user behavior. LastPass is the only password manager to include trackers like this, but appears to have more than many popular competitors. Free alternative Bitwarden has just 2, according to Exodus Privacy, while RoboForm and Dashlane have 4, and 1Password has none. There you go. So, continuing on, let's see what else do I have in here for this week. Apple has been forced to add iPhone and MacBooks repairability scores to comply with the French law.
I bet the score's like 0%.
Yeah, let's see.
You can't fix anything on this device. Oh, that's so funny. I love that. It's like,
so we ran
putting
into
on a dunce cap. They have to tell everyone, oh, by the way, when you buy this phone,
we ran into an interesting issue. I don't know if this was something Apple or if we just got a bad component. We did I think it was an iPhone XR or something like that the other day for somebody. We did a back glass repair. And when you do the back glass on an iPhone, at least our parts come as a whole frame. So you're basically transplanting all the guts into a new frame. And a lot of these frames come with parts pre-installed. For some reason, the let's see. Sorry, I just got a text here. Oh, okay. I thought that might be important. It's not. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. I remember what I was saying. So yeah, you basically transplant all the guts into this new frame, and some of these frames are coming with some parts already pre-installed. So in this particular case, it already had the charge port and like Taptic engine, not the vibrator motor, the Taptic engine, because Apple,
yeah,
right? Anyway, already pre-installed, and we gave the device back, and it wasn't vibrating. I don't know if we took the original vibrator motor out of the old frame and put it into the new frame, and it magically started working. So I don't know if Apple is serializing that with the motherboard, and if they are, that's stupid. A freaking vibrator motor, or if we just had a bad vibrator motor in the other frame. Yeah, or if we just had a bad vibrator motor in the other frame. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. But, Apple has added iPhone and MacBook repairability scores to its online store in France to comply with the a new French law that came into effect this year. Let's see. So the ratings take into account features like how easily a device can be disassembled and the availability of the repair manuals and spare parts.
That's why I said, like, this is basically like they're just telling Apple, like, look, you can be an idiot, but if you're gonna be an idiot, you have to wear a dunce cap,
right? Links to each product's final score with details for how they were calculated are available on a support page.
Oh, that's funny.
The ratings for Apple's products vary between products and generations. Its iPhone 12 lineup all have scores of 6 out of 10, for example.
What?
They're actually pretty decently easily to be like. iPhones are actually pretty easy to open.
Older ones, you mean?
No, even newer ones.
Okay.
Like, yeah, okay, fine. You have to have a pencil lobe screwdriver, but once you have a pencil lobe screwdriver, maybe a little heat to loosen the adhesive, and they basically open. Like, a suction cup, or in our case, we use something called an isosimo to create a gap for us. And then we just use a pick. But from the time that I get an iPhone and start actually like sit down and start working on it to the time I get it open is maybe 2-3 minutes. And most of that time is just waiting for the adhesive to heat up a little bit. But like if I have if I already have the screws out, which only take a couple seconds anyways, and the adhesive, like the phone's heated up a little bit to loosen the adhesive, it probably takes me maybe a minute to open an iPhone. They're really quick. As opposed to like a Samsung where you've got a glass back, those can take maybe 5 to 10 minutes to open. So iPhones are actually really quick to open. Let's see. While the previous year's iPhone 11s are rated lower at between 4.5 and 4.6. Interesting. The improvement, according to the detailed scoring assessment, is due to the newer iPhones being easier to dismantle than the previous year's models. Okay. I don't know if I've opened a 12 yet. I don't think I have. So I'm not familiar with the inside.
Aren't they even worse?
You know,
They just get worse every year. It's
honestly,
expected.
things are getting smaller and smaller, and the device is being consumed with more battery than anything.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense.
The mother, like the actual like logic board for like the iPhone 11 Pro Max is maybe like yay big.
Tab in. Oh, okay.
Yeah, not very big. It's pretty small. Like it comes out as a little rectangle, and that's about it. So what's kind of cool is that like the SIM card tray is like modular now in those. So your SIM card tray goes bad. Realistically, if they haven't serialized it, you can just order another one and put it in. Anyway, let's see the improvements according. Oh yeah, okay. Previous year's models and spare parts being cheaper compared to the cost of the phone itself. There's less of a spread between the company's different MacBook models, with scores ranging from 5.6 to 7. I don't know if you've opened any of the new MacBooks, but they are a pain in the rear freaking end to get open.
Yeah, I could believe that. But no, I actually haven't.
No longer can you just take out the screws and pull the back cover off. No. Now you have to take the screws off, and then you have to like kind of like pop it up a little bit and then like pull it just at the right angle because it like clips in. Getting the backs off is way easier than getting them back on, though. It is a major freaking major pain in the rear end to get them back on. Goodness gracious. And I now know why that MacBooks always scare the crap out of me after I finish working on them. It's because I plug them in over USB-C, but I forget to plug them into like our 65-watt USB-C charger. And usually I'm just plugging them into like a 5 volt, so they take forever to charge the battery. But I think if you disconnect the battery, you have to like have it plugged in for it to turn back on, I think. But every time I've worked on a MacBook, like a newer MacBook, and I put it back together, it's always like they always scare the crap out of me because they never just fire up right away. Yeah. Anyway, that's fun, right? It's like, oh crap, I just broke a $2,000 computer.
Actually, you just got I don't know. Thanks by Apple, I guess.
No. You just Apple products are special.
That's right.
It's a hey Zach, did you know it's a feature?
Yes, of course, it's a feature.
Feature.
Why did I think it was anything else?
Yeah, so your new iPhone, it has a feature that doesn't allow you to change the battery without getting a message that says that your new battery is not a genuine Apple battery.
Apple doesn't consider this a problem and has no plans to fix it.
It is a feature. So anyway, yep.
It's really all in the word.
Yeah. Anyway, it's whatever. Your Microsoft news for this week. Let's see. What do I have? Let's see. Windows 10 update, Sun Valley release date and features are as close as we get to Windows 11. Supposedly there'll never be a Windows 11 though, because like Windows 10 is supposed to be like the final version. Like,
but eventually they're gonna get bored.
maybe. The big Microsoft Windows 10 update for 2021 is potentially as close as we're going to get to an actual Windows 11 OS. Having already confirmed that Windows 10 is the last version of Windows. There you go. With Microsoft's operating system moving to a service model with twice yearly updates, there is going to be no Windows 11. But the team is looking to completely refresh the look, feel, and usability of Windows 10 to make it seem like more than just a bunch of little bug fixes or bug fixing patches.
It will be great.
Yeah, let's not have a repeat of Windows Me or Windows 8.
Will it erase my data?
Yes, potentially.
Really?
We're not sure yet. Maybe.
Not sure.
Maybe.
Might.
That might be a feature they add in.
It's not a bug, it's a feature. We saved you some hard drive space.
So
Did you notice that your hard drive seemed to get a little bigger when you installed the new Windows? That's because we erased some of your data.
So the team is looking to completely refresh the look, feel, and usability of Windows 10 to make it seem more like the first of 2021's updates, codenamed Sun Valley, is not going to be as big as or big a behind-the-scenes change as the new Windows 10 X release, but it will still be bringing some design elements from the newer PC OS. Windows 10X, don't worry, it's not something we need to concern ourselves with over much, as it's not designed for gaming PCs and won't be an operating system you can buy and download on its own. It's aimed at enterprise and education notebooks, and is a more stripped back setup, initially launching without support for a whole lot of legacy stuff, such as Windows 32 support. Oh yeah, we talked about that. Yep. Let's see. But the Windows 10 Sun Valley update is aiming to breathe a little new life into the OS, as Windows Central Zach Bowden noted in Microsoft's job listing. The company is looking to deliver a sweeping visual rejuvenation of Windows experiences to signal to our customers that Windows is back and ensure that Windows is considered the best user OS experience for customers. I'm gonna give you some feedback real quick here. Microsoft.
I think I have a few good ideas, Microsoft.
We'll see if we're on par here, but my feedback would be that if you want to make the best user OS experience, get rid of all the telemetry data.
Well, not just that. No, we're not stopping there.
That and all the extra crap that runs. You know how heavy Windows 10 is? Yeah,
Quite. It's quite heavy, yeah.
It's resource intensive. It's resource hungry. And most of that is because of all these stupid telemetry services and other crapware services that are running in the background.
How about automatic updates? Can we get rid of those too? I bet that would improve the user experience a lot.
Or, I don't know, going back to the option of being able to decide whether or not you want to install the updates.
Yes.
Like, look, I get that there are people out there who just want to have a monkey brain and be like, yeah, we just let it do whatever. But as a power user...
but you should... That's why we like options, because options are good. Options
as a power user, I want the option to be able to say, hey, okay, go ahead and download them, but ask me if I want to install them.
Or don't download anything or install anything until I say so, because I'm the master of the computer.
Right, yeah, exactly. So,
Screw you, Microsoft, you know.
So, you know, there's that. But anyway. This is kind of fun. Intel snipes at Apple a new Go PC ad. It's basically reverse of those like Apple, buy a Mac, not a PC ads, basically.
Oh yeah. Or they have like
Um,
the PC owner doing stupid stuff, and the Mac's like, it just works.
Let's see. Intel's new ad campaign is taking aim at Apple by promoting PC heavily. A continuation of the company's recent claims that Intel performs better than Apple's own M1 chip. Oh, yep. We talked about that. I had a feeling that's where that was going. I don't know if that's such a great idea for Intel right now when they're struggling as bad as they are.
There's a lot of there are a lot of comebacks available to Apple right now.
Just,
You could say.
hey, Intel, how's 7nm coming along?
7. Pretty sure they're still trying to iron out 10.
Are they really?
I don't know. I mean,
Goodness gracious.
I think that they are manufacturing some things on 10 right now, but I'm sure it's not where they want it to be.
Right. Let's see what else. We're just kind of jumping through topics here real quick. I mean, there wasn't anything super, super great this week, I guess. Verizon support says that you should actually turn off 5G to save your phone's battery, Zach.
What? Wow, I thought they would say something like, you must always use 5G.
Are you
because it's
noticing that your
fast."
battery life is draining faster than normal? One way to help conserve battery life is to turn on LTE. Just go to cellular data options, voice and data, and tap LTE.
Probably because, I mean, unless you're using the millimeter wave variety, it's not even going to be much faster to use 5G.
Hmm.
And oh, congratulations! Now you can reach your data cap in just seconds.
Yep.
We at Verizon strive to innovate, to provide you the most efficient way to reach your data cap ever. With millimeter wave,
Right.
gigabit speeds, yeah, you can hit your data cap in approximately 12 seconds. I just pulled that number out of nowhere. I mean, how fast is millimeter wave? Is it gigabit? Not gigabit, is it? It's close to gigabit. Right?
I think that's part of the theory. Is it's supposed to be like pretty close to gigabit.
Okay, so let's assume it's gigabit. Well, that means 8 seconds per gigabyte. So how many gigabytes is your data cap? Let's say your data cap is, I don't know, 10 gigabytes. 1 minute and 20 seconds to reach your data cap. Oh man, I love that. I really love that.
That's funny. Yeah, anyway. All right. Well, that's really about all I have for this week. Actually, you know what I should ask you real quick on stream here. Like I said, I know you've played with Proxmox in the past before, but
Yep.
Any questions in terms of like Proxmox itself, or like my virtualization server, like the build, like anything you want to know?
No, actually, I don't know. I've done a little bit with it, but not an overly large amount. Actually, you know what? I do have one question.
Sure.
You probably don't have an answer though, because you didn't do anything with Windows. But in the past, I experienced an issue where sometimes VM would just be extremely slow, like extremely slow.
How are you allocating memory? Because that's the one thing that I can think of.
A lot of memory.
A lot of memory. Okay.
A lot of memory. Yep.
In what? Well, okay.
Only one VM running.
Only one VM running.
Yep, just one VM was running. And it was incredibly slow.
You know,
It was like the machine was running on a 5400 RPM hard drive, but it was running on a RAID. And then I tried it on an SSD.
Any better?
I mean, no, actually not. I highly doubt that you know the answer, but just curious.
What OS?
Windows 10.
So I know that I wonder. I know that you can allocate memory in Proxmox differently. Actually, I don't know if this gives that option or not. You might need a driver to do that. So Linux systems, I can use something called ballooning, where I can give it a like a startup amount of memory, and then say you
Yep, I
can
did
use
that.
up to this much memory.
Yep, I did that.
Windows, as far as my understanding is, does not actually support that natively, and you need to install a driver for that to work properly.
Interesting.
So I wonder if that's possibly some of the issue that you were having there. Although I did run into a weird issue the other day where I went to install an update on the system, and well, actually, let me fire this up real quick here, just see what it does.
That's interesting.
On this Windows,
Tried a
one here,
lot of things to get that to work, and ended up just, I don't know, it just didn't work. Didn't work out.
I mean, like I said, Windows
I mean, I
is
can tell
pretty.
you more about it later, but
Like I said, Windows is pretty heavy.
that was heavy.
Right now,
Well aware of
right now, here's what I got going on. Let me share this real quick here. So here is oh, I need to shut all that stuff off. This is Bellatrix running right now. And so Bellatrix has a 120 gig disk, 120 gigabyte disk. It's got 4 gigs of memory and 4 CPU cores assigned to it. And I don't know if you can see the resource monitor in the corner there, but it's
Yeah, it goes up quite a bit.
the CPU is kind of backing off a little bit now, but the memory usage sits pretty much at pretty close to 4 gigs. I probably should allocate more to this system. Let's just open this up here. Just kind of see how it's running. I mean, it doesn't run great, but it's not running horribly either. Yeah, it's using like 70% of the CPU right now. 40, 60. I just honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with all the extra freaking services that Windows runs in the background.
No, I don't think so, because the CPU usage and memory usage was always low.
Interesting.
It was very interesting. It baffled me for quite a while.
Did you ever figure it out?
Nope.
Possibly the speed of the processor, maybe? Oh.
Well, I can tell you about my setup that I was using later. It was faster than yours.
Okay. There you go. Well, it's kind of calming down now a little bit. Depends on what we got going on. It's kind of all over the place. Yeah. I think honestly, Windows in a virtual environment is just, at least Windows these days in a virtual environment is tough. Just because of all the extra crap that's like we got running for processes. What's sitting in my memory? Yeah, this anti-malware service executable.
Oh yeah.
Like, the frick is this thing? Oh, Microsoft Defender. Like, I hate all these extra services that are running. Like, Windows 7 was so much lighter. But yeah, I mean, it's annoying. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not the greatest experience in the world, but
No, it's never going to be the well. And remember, you're using VNC to it right now.
oh yeah. Well, hold on.
And RDP to it.
That's exactly what I was gonna do.
RDP is honestly pretty great.
RDP is pretty good. So here we go. I'm RDPing him right now. It's just a standard user. So the only problem I found with RDP is that only one person can be RDP'd in at a time. And you can't actually have a user on logged in locally. Otherwise, it doesn't work. But yeah, you know, I mean, for what it is, this is Windows. I'm already P'd in, but yeah, pretty high memory usage or CPU utilization and stuff like that. So I don't know. And it could have been something with the version of Proxmox you were using too. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was just worth it was just worth an ask if you ran into it. I was just like,
I honestly haven't ran this VM very much yet. So down the
you
line,
would notice.
yeah,
You would notice right away if you experienced the issue I did.
So down the line, I may notice something. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it may have been a bug with a particular version of Proxmox you're using.
The real interesting thing was that this issue seemed to crop up like as I would create new, like I would, okay, like this sucks. I'm creating a new VM, no issue. But then I have trouble, with something else, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to create a new VM. And then I have this issue again. It's like, what? It seems to just happen almost at random. But well, I mean, there's got to be something. It's got to be something that causes it to happen. So I don't know. But I'm actually thinking of other things, so it's whatever.
Yeah. And I don't know if some of it gets weird because Proxmox is loaded on top of a Linux kernel.
Yeah, but so
I don't know if that causes issues or what, but anyway.
Don't think so. Shouldn't.
Docker, dude. Docker.
No, I don't need Docker.
You know what Docker is, right?
Yes. A containerization solution.
Yes, but so Docker containers are super, super lightweight. And the reason is because they don't create their own kernel. They use the existing kernel that's already there.
Yeah, it's something between. It's some kind of a lighter. It's like a lighter version of a VM, basically, is my understanding of it.
Yeah, it basically is a
and
VM.
It runs a specific program.
Right,
Like
it runs a specific VM. Right, exactly. It's running that particular service in a virtualized or a container, in a container. But again, it's using the
it's using parts of the host OS.
Yeah, it's using the core or the host's OS kernel instead of creating its own kernel. That's why they're so lightweight. But
I guess software developers would probably know more about that than I would.
Yeah. And then what's cool is have you ever heard of Kubernetes? I think is what it is.
Yes, I've heard of it. I don't recall exactly what it does.
So basically, it is
isn't it like an alternative to Docker?
No, it is a way of managing Docker containers.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I remember now.
Yep, it's a way of managing them. So there's some pretty cool stuff you can do with it. Again,
yeah, I gotta have a use for this kind of stuff before I learn it. It's like,
see, I don't have a use for. Well, actually, I do have a use for it. So Kelvin, at some point,
even if it's a small use, even if it's just a little bit,
I
can manage that. But
so at some point, Kelvin, I would love to, and I'd actually love to take some of these services that I want to run that are running on top of VMs and run them in maybe 2 VMs and then run them inside of Docker. So I could run, instead of having a web server, I could still have a web server, but then I could have multiple web servers inside of that one web server, like VM. So, anyway, the technology is cool and something I want to learn because it's gonna pop up more and more. But
that's actually a fair point.
If you're not familiar with it and you're not using it very much, I would highly recommend loading a VM up with Linux, especially like command line Linux, and start learning it and start getting comfortable with it, because that is a very sought after skill right now.
Linux or containers?
Linux.
I've used a bit of Linux, yeah.
So
my way through Linux.
The theory is that if you can learn Linux, you can learn anything.
Oh, like Linux is some kind of sorcery or what? Jeez.
Well, so there's so many different things these days that run on top of Linux, because it is free and open source. That as we're moving more and more towards cloud-based, management and stuff in IT, it's becoming a very sought after skill. So, think about it. Like, a company may be running, a web server using a Docker container running on top of Linux, or even a web server is running on top of Linux. So, but no, that's what I'm hearing, is that having Linux skills is a good sought after skill right now in the IT world. So, and myself, I am fairly proficient with Linux. Obviously, I've got all these certain, these different, VMs running and things like that. Let's see here if this is, I don't know if that's gonna connect for me. It's up and running. I wonder if I have the correct IP address too. That is definitely a thing. Yeah. Oh, that's not gonna work. It really helps if you can type too.
That I can do.
And I'm pretty sure I missed a letter in my... Oop. I might need to go edit that out. See, I don't... Actually, I should ask you. What is the Linux command to show the IP address?
Isn't it ifconfig? No, wait, that's the file, right?
No, so okay. ifconfig will work in some distributions.
So I'm not completely wrong. All right, that's fair. I mean, it's been a long time since I needed to do that, so I'm good with that. Slight success. Okay. So what is it then? What's the answer you want?
So you can use IP space ADDR space show, or just IP ADDR. In this case, this is 172.31 3.5. So let's see here. If I open up Solar Putty and say reconnect,
I guess if you were running your own DNS server, you could do it by hostname.
I think I can, even because it's running inside of...
Well, in some cases, you still can't.
Oh, you know what? I think I know why this isn't working. So you'll notice that I can't actually SSH into here. Any guesses as to why that might be?
Did you... I don't know. Why is that?
Well, so the first thing I'm going to check... oh my gosh, SYSTMCTL status SSH.
Is the service not running? Or
so the
not
service
installed?
is running, because you can see it's green there.
Well, there's nothing to see. I can't see.
Oh,
I'll take your word for it.
There you go. I forgot to throw it up on the screen there. That's good, because I accidentally typed my password in instead of my username. So I'm glad that I wasn't sharing that. There you go. I'll make this full screen actually here. Yeah, so can you see how it's green there? You might not be able to read it, but you can at least see it's green.
I can actually read it pretty well.
So it says that the service is running, right? Sudo ufw allow SSH, I think. There we go. So UFW is a firewall option in Linux.
Okay.
So it says rule added there, which means that I think what happened was within the internal firewall, I must have installed UFW on this system, and when I did, it overrode the other firewall that was built into here, and SSH was not turned on, or the SSH port was not open in UFW. So obviously it will reject the connection in. Now, anytime you change a or make a configuration to a service, actually, I wonder if it's just going to let me in now. Now that I've opened that port up. So yep, and it does. So that's what the issue was. Was that I didn't have the SSH port open. Because as you can see now I am able to log in using SSH now. But yeah, so if config doesn't actually work, it doesn't actually know what that command is, at least not in this distro of Debian, or this, like, not in Debian. You can make it work. If I do sudo ifconfig, it works, but only because I have NetTools installed on here. Otherwise it won't work. In Fedora, and well, the last version of Fedora that I was running, the ifconfig command worked. So again, every distribution is going to be a little bit different in terms of what works, what doesn't work. So, but yeah, I mean, you weren't completely wrong. Ifconfig does, but IPADDR, that also does the same thing. It just shows it a little bit differently. So, but I mean, these are good skills to have in terms of Linux and stuff like that. You know, if a company came to me and said, hey, you know, we've got a Linux server and we need it configured, you know, I have a decent amount of background in Linux to be able to go in and do what I need to do. So, and like these commands, like, so the sudo apt-get update, this is like one command that everyone should know in terms of Linux. That and the upgrade command. So, in this case, there's no updates for this system, so we're good there. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, no, I would highly recommend learning Linux though, Zach. Like being more familiar with it. Because I would probably say, I'm sure that there are probably some things that your entity is using that are running on top of Linux.
I'm sure there are.
So, but anyway, all right. Well, with that said, let's go ahead. We've been talking for a while. Let's close out this show. And I will have a quick conversation with you about Server 2019. So anyway, hang on. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the Ram Show. If you did, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Get subscribed if you haven't done that already. And we should see you next week here on the